communication is like 55% body language, 38% vocal stuff, tone, inflection, and only, get this, 7% the actual words.
Wow, only 7%. That's tiny.
It is. Now, it needs context, of course. It was about feelings and attitudes. But the core message holds. How we say something often screams louder than what we say.
So does that mean the words are pointless sometimes? Or how does that work when the words say one thing and the body language says another? That's 7% versus the 93%?
That's the crucial part. That's the mixed message. Words carry the data, the info, right?
Right.
But the nonverbals, they carry the emotion, the context, the authenticity.
Right.
And when they clash, our brains, well, they tend to believe the nonverbal cues. It's more primal, maybe.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Think about someone saying, yeah, I'm totally open to feedback. But they've got their arms clamped across their chest, maybe leaning back a bit, tone flat.
Right. The words say yes, the body shouts no.
Exactly. That mismatch creates doubt. It erodes trust because instinctively we feel that dissonance.
Okay, so let's break down some of those nonverbal channels. You mentioned Pollock Peace Building had some categories.
Yes, they outline several key types. First, there's body language or kinesics. This is posture, arm positions, leaning, all that stuff.
Like how a leader might stand.
Precisely. Standing tall, shoulders relaxed, that projects confidence. Slouching might suggest boredom or low energy. Cross arms often mean defensiveness, while leaning in shows you're engaged.
Makes sense. What else?
Then facial expressions. These are pretty universal signals for basic emotions. Joy, anger, surprise. You have the obvious ones, the macro expressions. But also fascinating are micro expressions. These are super quick, like fractions of a second, involuntary flashes of feeling.
Like a flicker of annoyance.
Exactly. A tiny tightening of the lips, a brief widening of the eyes. They can leak suppressed emotions, sometimes ones the person isn't even consciously aware of showing, really revealing if you catch them.
Okay. And eyes. Eye contact is big.
Huge. Eye contact or oculesics. But it's tricky because it's so culturally dependent. In, say, the US or UK, good eye contact generally signals confidence, sincerity, interest.
But not everywhere.
No. In some East Asian cultures, for instance, prolonged direct eye contact can feel aggressive or disrespectful, especially with authority figures.
So appropriate is key.
Definitely. Too little feels shifty or uninterested. Too much can feel like staring or challenging someone. It's a balance.
And gestures. Hand movements and things.
Right. Gestures. We use illustrators all the time, like using your hands to show size or pointing to something important, maybe on a document during a negotiation. They emphasize our words.
Okay.
And then there are adapters. These are the unconscious ones, like fiddling with a pen, adjusting glasses, tapping your foot. Often signals nervousness or internal tension. Self-soothing sometimes.
I definitely tap my pen when I'm thinking hard.
Lots of people do. And of course, gestures like a thumbs up can mean wildly different things globally. Approval here, quite offensive elsewhere.
Good point. What's the last category?
Vocal elements,
Right.
or paralanguage. This isn't the words, it's the sound. Tone, pitch, speed, volume, even pauses.
How you say it.
Exactly. Think of a leader delivering a message. A firm, steady tone adds credibility, right? Even if the words are simple. A shaky voice, though, can undermine the strongest argument. Pauses can add emphasis or create suspense.
So it's not just about reading others, it's about being aware of our own signals, too. How does mastering this actually help, practically, beyond just seeming nice?
Oh, it's incredibly practical. Think about improved interpersonal relationships. A genuine smile, an open posture, maybe a comforting touch when appropriate. These build rapport much faster than just words.
Makes sense. What about tricky situations, like arguments?
Crucial in enhanced conflict resolution. If you adopt open body language, uncross your arms, lean in slightly, keep your palms relaxed, you're non-verbally signaling, I'm willing to listen, it can de-escalate tension before you even start talking solutions.
Yeah, and for leaders.
Stronger leadership presence. Standing tall, relaxed shoulders, using purposeful gestures, maintaining good eye contact, a steady vocal tone, it all projects authority and confidence. It's presence, gravitas.
Even in negotiations.
Especially in negotiations, better negotiation outcomes. Open gestures help create a positive climate, but also keenly observing the other side's nonverbals. Those little shifts, micro-expressions, adapters, can tell you about their comfort level, their sticking points. It's like getting intel without asking.
And within a team.
Improve team dynamics. Simple things like nodding when someone speaks, making eye contact around the table, having an open posture. It encourages collaboration. People feel heard. Conversely, someone constantly checking their phone or looking bored kills the vibe,
Here's where it gets really interesting for me. Think about a job interview. You can have all the right answers prepared, word perfect.
right?
But if you're fidgeting, avoiding eye contact, have a weak handshake, those signals might just drown out your brilliant answers, couldn't they?
They absolutely could. It undermines your credibility.
Or meeting someone new, like a potential client. That open posture, that genuine smile, it builds trust almost instantly. Even like getting help at the hardware store for that DIY project, a little awareness goes a long way.
It totally does. Understanding your signals and theirs can make almost any interaction smoother.
Okay, but let's be honest. Despite knowing all this, or maybe because we don't always know it, we mess up. We all make conversational mistakes.
Oh, constantly. Chris McLeod over at Succeed Socially makes a great point about this. We shouldn't get paralyzed by the fear of making mistakes.
Right, because many are fixable.
Exactly. And context is huge. Like, interrupting someone in a noisy pub is different from cutting them off mid-sentence in a quiet office meeting.
Good point. So, what are some of the common traps we fall into?
Well, let's dig in. One of the absolute biggest is just not listening well.
Yeah, that's annoying.
It's more than annoying. It makes the speaker feel disrespected, ignored,
Oh.
like they don't matter. It leads to interruptions, missed details.
Why do people do it? Just distracted.
Could be distraction, stress, sometimes shyness makes it hard to focus, or, yeah, sometimes it's just being more interested in what you're going to say next. Self-obsession, basically.
Okay. What else?
Closely linked is interrupting, either cutting someone off completely or that annoying habit of finishing their sentences for them.
Guilty sometimes.
We all are sometimes. But the message it sends is often, my thought is more important than yours right now. The good news is you can usually recover. A quick, oh, sorry, I interrupted. What do you say? Works wonders.
And sometimes you have to interrupt, right? If someone's just going on and on.
Yes, that's the exception. If someone's truly monopolizing, a polite interruption might be needed to let others speak.
Okay. Then there's the hijacker.
Ah, yes. Hijacking or making it all about you. This is different from relating. Relating is like, oh, that reminds me of. Hijacking is bam, straight back to you.
Like your friend tells you about their amazing trip to see the monarch butterflies.
And you immediately jump in with, yeah, travel's not really my thing. I spent my whole vacation fixing the downstairs bathroom fixtures.
Ouch. Yeah,
Kills the vibe.
totally. It screams self-absorption. The friend's story just becomes a launch pad for yours.
Related to that is monopolizing, just taking up all the airtime. Exactly.
Yeah.
Especially in groups. Sometimes it's not malicious. Maybe someone's just really passionate about the topic, or they're the boss and people are hesitant to jump in. But you've got to read the room.
Right. Watch if people are glazing over.
Yeah. Then there's bragging or shoehorning positive qualities.
Yeah.
Trying too hard to impress by forcing your achievements into the conversation.
Usually backfires, doesn't it?
Almost always. It's much better if accomplishments come up naturally. There's also unintentional bragging. Maybe you're just way more experienced in something than the other person. Reading the situation and maybe downplaying it a bit shows empathy.
And the competitive version, one-upping.
Oh yeah, classic one-upping.
Yeah.
Your friend excitedly says they went ziplining. You immediately say, oh, that's nice. I've been skydiving a dozen times.
Ugh. Deflating.
Completely. It steals their moment, invalidates their excitement because yours has to be bigger or better.
Okay, what about getting stuck?
That's a subtle one, not step two. Moving on from unproductive topics. You keep asking about their job, they give one-word answers, clearly uninterested, but you keep pushing.
Because it was on your list of things to ask.
Maybe. You gotta be flexible. Read the signals. If a topic's dead, switch gears. Don't stick to the script.
The flip side of not talking enough. Asking too much.
Right. Asking too many questions, giving off that interrogation vibe, question after question without sharing anything yourself, puts people on the spot.
Feels like being grilled.
Exactly. Mix it up. Make statements. Share a related thought. Then maybe ask another question. Make it a rally, not just serves.
And the opposite problem.
Giving too many quick or one-word responses, that's the mirror image. If you only give short answers, the other person has nothing to grab onto, no hooks to continue the conversation. All the pressure's on them.
Makes it hard work for them.
Totally. Then there's changing topics too. Abruptly and randomly. It's jarring. You're talking about gardening. Suddenly they're asking about astrophysics.
Throws you off balance.
Yeah. Smooth transitions are better. Acknowledge the current topic first. Then maybe use a bridge like, that reminds me. Or speaking of gardens. Or even just a natural pause.
What about tricky subjects?
That's bringing up inappropriate topics or oversharing. You need good judgment here. Controversial stuff, Really offensive jokes or deeply personal details, probably best avoided unless you know your audience really well.
Like the person you just met at a party telling you their entire rehab history.
Exactly. Too much too soon. Bad judgment.
But the opposite is also bad, being too closed off.
Yes. Being too guarded and closed off. If someone shares something personal and you offer nothing back, even something small and appropriate, it blocks connection. Reciprocity is key for building trust.
Okay. What about negativity?
Huge drain. Over-relying on negative, downer subjects, constant complaining, criticism, focusing only on problems. It just brings everyone down.
Can lead to that weird competitive negativity too?
Yeah, like one downing. You mentioned a fender bender. They counter with how their car was totaled years ago. It's just bleak.
Talking at people.
Ah, yes. Talking at people rather than with them. The monologue. No room for back and forth. The other person might as well not be there. You got to check for glazed eyes, watch body language, even if you're excited about your topic.
Being Mr. or Miss Know-It-All.
That falls under Treek. Pointlessly correcting people, or being too quick to argue or debate. Correcting tiny, insignificant errors makes you seem pedantic or condescending. Pick your battles.
And if you must correct?
Soften it. I might be wrong, but I thought, kind of thing. And avoid jumping into debates just to be adversarial. It kills the conversational vibe.
And finally looping back, body language again.
Exactly. Having poor body language and making poor eye contact, it undercuts everything else. Makes you seem nervous, uninterested, maybe even untrustworthy. Consciously adopting open, friendly posture, good eye contact, facing them, relax, leaning in slightly, makes a world of difference.
So reflecting on all these, what does this mean for you? Listening. Think about your day-to-day. Planning that budget with your partner, leading that team meeting, even just the quick chat at the grocery checkout. Where might these little tripwires be hiding?
Yeah, just being aware is the first massive step, spotting them in yourself and others.
We've covered a lot of the nonverbals, the common mistakes, but what about the how? What's actually happening second by second in a conversation that makes it work or fall apart? Is there like a hidden structure?
There absolutely is.
Yeah.
And that's where this really fascinating academic field comes in. Conversation analysis, or CA.
Okay, sounds technical.
It is, a bit. It grew out of sociology in the 60s and 70s. Folks like Harvey Sachs, Emmanuel Shegloff, Gail Jefferson, they started looking really, really closely at recorded everyday talk.
Not just the words.
No, not the content so much, but the structure, the mechanics of how people take turns, how sequences unfold, how we fix things when they go wrong. It's like looking at the engine of conversation.
Okay, tell me more. What are the key ideas?
One huge one is turn-taking. How do we know when it's okay to start talking? How do we manage not constantly interrupting or having awkward silences?
Yeah, how do we do that? It seems automatic.
It feels automatic, but CA shows it's incredibly organized. We use cues in grammar, intonation, context to figure out when a speaker's turn might be, ending what they call transition relevance places.
Yeah.
Misreading those cues leads to overlaps or gaps.
Ah, okay. So that awkward moment when two people start at once.
It's often a miscalculation of that transition point.
Interesting. What else?
Sequence organization. Conversations aren't random. Turns often come in pairs or sequences. The simplest is an adjacency pair. Question, answer. Greeting, greeting, invitation, acceptance, or rejection.
Like, how are you? Fine, thanks.
Exactly. But CA looks deeper. For instance, how you answer matters. If I invite you somewhere and you say immediately, that's different from you pausing, saying, well, and then making an excuse.
The hesitation means something.
It signals a dispreferred response. The delay, shows you're aware saying no might be awkward and you're trying to soften it. It tells us about managing social relationships, not just conveying information.
Wow. Okay. And fixing mistakes.
Right. Repair mechanisms. How we deal with misunderstandings, mishearings, or just misspeaking. Sometimes we fix it ourselves. I mean, not Tuesday, I meant Wednesday. That's self-repair.
Or asking someone else.
Yeah, sorry. Did you say project or protect? That's other-initiated repair.
Yeah.
CA shows how we constantly work together collaboratively, moment by moment, to keep the conversation understandable and on track. It's quite amazing, really.
And all of this is shaped by context, right? You mentioned that earlier.
Hugely. Context is everything. The physical place you're talking, who you're talking to, their relationship, power dynamics, and your cultural backgrounds, all of it influences how these structures play out.
Like the eye contact example again.
Exactly. Or how power dynamics affect turn-taking. Someone in a position of authority might interrupt more, or their turns might be longer, and it's often accepted, whereas the same behavior from a subordinate might be seen very differently. CA reveals how social structure is enacted in conversation.
So if we connect this back, understanding this underlying structure, this kind of grammar of conversation, it's like having the blueprint.
That's a great way to put it. It helps explain why some conversations feel smooth and others clunky. It helps you navigate better, whether you're coordinating that DIY project, hashing out ideas in a book club, or planning that camping trip. You start to see the
It's
mechanics.
not just intuition anymore.
Right, it gives you concrete things to observe and potentially adjust. And this isn't just academic navel-gazing. These insights are used in communication training, therapy, conflict resolution, even making doctor-patient interactions clearer. It has real-world impact.
Wow, what a journey today. We've gone from those big, impactful, nonverbal signals
The 93%.
through all those common, relatable conversational mistakes we all make,
Yeah, the hijackers and the one-uppers.
and down into the really intricate second-by-second mechanics revealed by conversation analysis. It really is like a hidden architecture, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And hopefully what comes across is that effective communication isn't just some innate talent people have or don't have. It's a skill. It's this blend of the words, the signals, and this mindful awareness of the interaction itself.
Being a participant and an observer at the same time.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
A participant, an observer, and maybe even a subtle architect of the connection you're building.
So the big question for you listening, now that you have this deeper understanding, this sort of blueprint we've been talking about, how will you use it? How can it help you transform your own daily conversations, make those connections richer, clearer, maybe more impactful?
Yeah, we really encourage you in your next conversation, maybe it's later today with family, maybe at work tomorrow, maybe just buying coffee. Try to notice that subtle dance. Listen beyond the words. Notice the pauses, the tone shifts, the body language. See if you can spot those adjacency pairs, those little repair moments. The understanding is powerful, and now it's really in your hands.